All right, up next we have Taurus, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your seventh house of relationships, and the sun is opposite it in your first house. So whenever the sun is in our first house, let's start there. We have a lot more energy, visibility. Things are usually picking up in our lives, moving faster. We can have various responsibilities or aspects of our life kind of taking off at once. And that's definitely something I'm seeing with the Eight of Wands. I feel like this full moon for you guys does kind of point to the fact that you are maybe really busy and could have quite a bit going on as well within relationships because, of course, the moon is opposite in the seventh house. And your relationships could be really taking center stage. You could be having realizations around how people fit into your life or what you want out of relationships. My concern is this full moon squaring Pluto in the 10th house, because if you haven't watched the overview, make sure you do it. But basically, this Pluto energy is really pointing to some facet of our life that we have been a little bit more detached from and have not been making the necessary changes or improvements in that area of our life and progressing at the pace that we would really like because we have been detached from it or disconnected from it in some way. For you, this full moon is squaring Pluto in your 10th house, which is all about your long-term goals, your career ventures, your leadership, you kind of taking up more space in society or having more authority. There's a sense of, there's a kind of a masculine energy around it if you think about it. And so there's a sense of like taking up space and again, leading and accomplishing these really big milestones that we've always wanted in life. So especially career-wise, it doesn't have to be career-wise, but especially it does come out in that way. So there may be one or two milestones in your life that you are neglecting because of relationships, because your life is moving so fast, because there's so much going on. And you and maybe, a friend or a partner are just doing a lot, but there's a sense of there's long-term goals that are waiting for you, career advancements that is waiting for you, leadership positions that you're supposed to be working towards that could be neglected during the time of this full moon or before it. And then this full moon is kind of where we wake up and we realize, oh, it's time for me to do something about this. And if you have had kind of ways of indulging yourself and not taking responsibility for things, that is, I think, also going to be highlighted during this period of time. The ruler of this full moon is Mars, and Mars is conjunct Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your 11th house. So having a very spiritual Mars during this full moon indicates that we're all meant to kind of look at the signs, look at the synchronicities, listen to our dreams in order to understand why we've maybe been disconnected or how we can do something about it. And this is also in your 11th house. So a lot of those things can come from the people around you. You might have friends who are working on their long-term goals, or you might have people say things to you in passing that feels relevant, or you might have read something online in a community that you're a part of, like Reddit, for example, and it impacts you. And so look out for those synchronicities and those messages coming from people that you trust, from people who have similar interests as you, from people in the same field as you. But there's a sense of you're needing to progress, and people around you can help point the way into how you can progress your career. Again, it's likely people who are on the same page, who are on the same kind of career vocation. But there's a sense of needing to open our ears and really listen and be absorbent during this period of time. Mars is also making a sextile to Jupiter and Uranus in your first house. So this conjunction, which is happening on the 20th, is super transformative, and it's really trying to help us radically change our personalities, maybe even our physical appearance, our life. Like for you in particular, it's the most radical because it's happening to you in your sign. And so I think that this energy is really trying to say that you are capable of so much more than I think you are currently doing. You might be in a phase of being caught up in focusing on relationships, or you just have a lot going on, and maybe there's a little bit more of this kind of reactivity, or your attention is split in many directions. But there's a sense of this full moon needing us to really kind of plant important seeds for the future, to end this kind of distractibility and to think really what makes sense for me long term. Really, what have I been putting on the back burner or totally disconnected from and not been addressing in terms of major career or life milestones that I've been distracted from pursuing. And so this is your time to shake up your life in any way that you need to in order to refocus and recommit and connect more with that, with your heart, to that long-term vision or goal. I really feel like you are like really meant to be transforming as some type of leader. And that is definitely the message that I got with this being the 10th house. And I see that as well with this Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles to me is somebody confident, somebody who is independent, who really is able to lead people, because I feel like this is somebody that understands just what it takes to have presence. And it's interesting, I didn't know that this Queen of Cups was attached to the back of it, but it is. So I think there's also emotional leadership that you're meant to have, leading with your intuition, with your creativity. But I'm just getting the sense that there's some elements of your life that you're really, especially career-wise, that you're really meant to dive into with this kind of confidence and this creative and intuitive energy, and really trust your instinct and develop it further and become more of a master, a thought leader, somebody that people go to hear messages or see something that you produce or whatever it is. There's a sense of you guys, yeah, I feel like presence is definitely the right word, especially with Jupiter and Uranus in your first house. Your whole presence, your identity, the way that people see you, the way that you see yourself, the way that you dress, the way that you hold yourself, the energy around you, those things are all trying to change. And I think you're trying to be up-leveled and matured and have things shake up enough in your life for you to really think about those big, bold moves that are working towards things that are significant for you in the long term, these big life goals. And so I think that that's kind of what's trying to happen. And there might be some leftover behavior with this Pancreas card around indulgence and distractibility and getting stuck in bad habits, or just being overly busy, overly, whatever it is that you struggle with. There's a sense of needing to maybe recommit to also the kind of the discipline that these ventures will require of you in order for them to occur. Lastly, we have a stellium happening in your 12th house. So we have North Node in Aries, Mercury retrograde in Aries, Chiron and Venus also in Aries, all conjunct together in your 12th house. And Mercury, as I mentioned, is retrograde. So there's definitely this energy of kind of looking to the past as well. Whenever Mercury retrogrades, it's a time for us to be reflective or reconnect with elements of our past, to redo certain things that haven't gone well, or to consider things in a new light. But also with this being the 12th house is very associated with the past and things that have been kind of laying dormant in the subconscious. So there is a need to maybe dig up some elements of your life from the past and the subconscious and all that in order for you to really move forward. So you might have to heal or let things go, or be willing to reimagine your life from a new lens that has been influenced by the past. For example, if you had a difficult experience, it could be this like filter that then impacts the way that you see your life. And so I think it just could be beneficial, basically, to know if something comes up from the past or reminds you of the past, that there might be some healing and processing that you can do around that. So this is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. If this resonates, or if you want to share a message with me about how this is impacting you at the time of this full moon, I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. If you want a reading from me, you can always check me out at cosmicclarity.astrology.com. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.